Welcome to another rubbish FPL player video. This video I'm going to talk about how my game week 33 went, the double game week, and then plans for game week 34 and a bit into the rest of the season, since we're getting pretty close to the end of the season now, which personally I'll be glad it'll be over. So game week 33, I got 95 points. So, overall good game week. The safety score was 75, so it was a good 460k green arrow. It could have been what could have been. It could have been. At one point, I think I checked my score, which is as the game week was going, which is sometimes a danger, and it was something like 115 points. But then quite quickly it went down to about 99, and then 97, and then eventually 95 as sort of goals were conceded and bonus points were taken off. And what could have been it with, I had 32 points on the bench. Now, I was never going to play my bench boost because I didn't have enough transfers to get in all the double game week players I would have wanted. So realistically, the players on my bench, would I have played them? Probably not, but maybe it's hindsight. I probably should have got Gross or Van Heck as the first sub rather than Cucurella, and obviously the Chelsea players generally were a bit of a mistake, and I'm sure everyone thinks that. And there is a way that, obviously Chelsea haven't been playing well. The most recent game, that makes it 5 losses in a row without scoring at all in those 5 games, and obviously now Ricina has lost his job. And maybe with that thought, would have thought maybe don't get triple up on Chelsea players on the free hit on the double game week, and maybe blinded a bit by it was a double game week, and it is Chelsea. They're a big club. Potentially, they could score on their day, on form. Obviously not at the moment. They could have, Palmer could easily get like 20-30 points. Pedro, sort of similar. Obviously they did very little, and Pedro didn't even turn up. So yeah, and also I had in that Bournemouth Leeds game, I had lots of players, as a lot of people did. So I had Senesi and Hill, and Darlow and Shrek, however you pronounce his name, and Tavernier as well. So I was hoping for a nil in that game, but it didn't work out, and obviously made worse by the Hill goal, and then Bournemouth conceded 2 goals, that goal right at the end, so that would have lost some points there because they conceded 2 goals. And Welbeck didn't start that second game, but he did come on, he did score, as he always seems to do against Chelsea. But on another day, he starts that, and you would expect probably he would have got at least another goal against Chelsea. But there we go. What could have been the captain? I think most people went for Haaland. I went for Turkey. I hoped it would be a big differential sort of pick, but in the end, the popular City players who you may captain or certainly own, Haaland, Turkey, and Semenyo, they all got 13 points. So, but whoever you captain, if you captain Haaland, Turkey, you would have got the same points. So I suppose having Turkey as a lower roam player, so I'm guessing that would have helped the rank a bit more. Turkey in that Burnley game, what could have been? He had 8 shots on goal, which was the most in the game, 8 chances created, which was the most in the game, and he himself alone had 1.22 expected goal involvement, which was the most in the game. And City themselves had a 3.15 expected goal, 28 shots, 9 on target, and then in the end it was just a 1-0 against Burnley. Everyone was expecting a big score, and especially after Haaland scored early on, but it didn't work out like that. So now, almost a 500,000 green arrow, which I'll take. Now, firmly into the 2-something million sort of round. It's gonna take something to get into the 1 million something round. Looking at live FPL here, I am 33 points away from the top 2 million, if you see what I mean. So I think if things go well, that could happen. To beat my worst ever rank, which is about 1.5 million, that's probably going to be about 65 odd points I need to gain, which is going to be tough. Not impossible. 5 game weeks left. So, if I sort of gain about 13 odd points every game week, we'll see. This coming game week 34, is a blank game week. So, and I don't have any, the only chips I have left is the bench boost, which I'm going to play a bit later on in the season when City have their double. So it's going to be, at this moment, it could be tricky if a lot of teams will be playing the free hit. So they'll have, they'll be able to target some of the better players. At the moment, I've got 11 players playing, so nothing on the bench. So if any of those players don't start or don't play, no one off the bench to come off. I think looking at my team, I think I'm pretty confident 10 players will start. Sheshko, I have a doubt about, is because I think still at United, it's still sort of 4 positions and 5 players can fit into it. Recently, Sheshko has started the last 2 games, so maybe bodes well, or maybe he could have a rest, who knows. But so there's Sheshko, there's Mbumo, Cunha, and Bruno, obviously. And then Ahmad could play in one of those positions. He's not recently. But we'll see. I think if I was to sort of bet on it, I think he'll start. I think there's a bit of doubt with Cunha and Mbumo with the injuries, possible injuries. Not much was given by Carrick in the press conference, so I think there was no mention of Mbumo at all. Mbumo went off quite late on in the last game. So if any of them are going to miss out, then that obviously increases the chances of Sheshko starting. Certainly if it's if it's Mbumo and Cunha, those are the players who could play up front in the number 9 sort of position. But we'll see. Will I make any transfers? Ideally, I don't, because I've only got 1 free transfer, so I just want to get at least another transfer, and then I've got more options to play about with. There is a chance I could take a bit of a punt with my rank. I just gotta go for it and hope someone scores massive that no one has. So that's a Spurs player, which sounds crazy, but Spurs did look better in the last game. And they're playing Wolves, who even are not playing well at all. And I think So you would think Spurs beat Wolves and with a decent score, but you never know. What I'll do, it's going to be a last minute decision, I think. I'm not going to do anything now, but we'll see. As I mentioned, in the press conference, nothing was mentioned by Carrot really. The only thing left, I'm just looking at my little notes there. For the rest of the season, as I mentioned, the bench boost, I'm going to probably play that for City and Palace's double. So obviously I'd want to triple up on City players. The ones I want is Haaland, Cherki and Nico O'Reilly. As for Palace players, I've got Munoz at the moment, so maybe someone else. I need to work out how that's all going to work out with the City players, because at this moment I've got Semenyo in, who I don't really want. So obviously, I had Cherki on the free hit. I don't have Cherki now, so I need to work out how to work it all out, when to get Cherki in. And also my plans at some point before the season ends, I'm planning to get Salah in. It will be, I think, on the free hit, a lot of people seem to be talking about playing Salah, but I think overall, having Salah in for nostalgia reasons, for the last time, he's one of the best FPL players. He's scored, he's crazy number of points. I think he's the top scoring players in FPL are both Salah. From one was last season, one was, I can't remember. I'll bring up the stats on the screen probably now. I can't find, but when I edit this, you'll see it next to my face there. So yeah, it could be just the last game of the season, game week 38, that I bring him in, but I need to work it out when. In a way, you don't need Salah, certainly compared to previous seasons, because he's not played as well as he has previously. So it's not one of those he's essential, certainly. So maybe the last game is good enough. But Liverpool do play United in game week 35. So not this game week coming up. Salah always scores against us. So that's something else to think about, because if I can't, there's no easy way of having Haaland and Salah into the same team. It's not impossible, and if I get rid of Palmer, then it makes it a bit easier, but it's still going to be pretty difficult. And with Palmer in, he's not been that good this season generally. Chelsea have been rubbish, but they're going to have a new manager. It's probably going to be an interim manager or caretaker manager until the end of the season, and then who knows. But with just a change of manager, new manager bounce and all that sort of thing, that maybe suddenly Chelsea players are suddenly a lot better. So that could help all these players who would have wildcarded and got like 2-3 Chelsea players in, hated them after this week, and then Rasunia gets sacked, and then they're like, it might be okay having Chelsea players in, or they could continue being rubbish to the end of the season, and then so there we go. That's game week 33 reviewed. Thoughts on this coming game week and a bit about the rest of the season. Hopefully you had a good game week, big green arrows. I know a lot of people had into the 100 point plus club. Unfortunately I missed out on that. Who are you getting transferred in? What's my final rank gonna be? What do you think I'm gonna get? So at this very moment I'm 2.66 million. What's the rank I could get? Could I get into the 1 point something million? What do you reckon? But anyway, hopefully you have a good game week. Hopefully green arrows, and if you could like, comment, subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks, bye.